Hey, Trevor and Stacy. This is Jonathan with Right Move Inspections. Hope you guys are having a great day. Just wanted to take a few minutes and first of all, thank you guys for your business today and also prepare a small video for you guys since y'all weren't actually able to be at the inspection. All right, so this is what the report will look like. It'll be a total of 73 pages. That's not going to be 73 pages of write-ups and deficiencies. Most of those are going to be me going in and just listing the systems and components of the home. Also, I've included pictures of all the serial and model numbers to all the major appliances for you guys. That way it should be a great resource for y'all to have all of that stuff in one place. So everything from the water heater to the HVAC systems to all the kitchen appliances. So all that stuff will be in there and it should be just jam-packed full of useful information for you guys. All right, I try to keep these things really simple. The first thing that you'll notice here is that there are orange triangles, and those orange triangles represent something that needs to be repaired or replaced, or some sort of action needs to happen. You'll also see blue dots in there, and the blue dots are really more just informative to the inspection and to how it relates to the home itself. Every home is different, every inspection is different. So, if we weren't able to see something or we weren't able to inspect something for whatever reason, then, we try to put those in there as well. That way, all that information is out front. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, so a portion of the front entry handrail was found loose from the structure. And I've tried to, put circles and arrows and, definitions in there as far as to where they're located. Also, a quick note, I always do my left and right orientation like I'm looking at the house from the street there. So this one, it's got the garage in the front. So if I was looking, at the house from the end of the driveway there, then that's how I would determine the right, the left. That way you guys will know where I'm talking about in here. Okay, so there were some minor cracks that were in the driveway and rear patio that should be sealed. The wood components of the deck were in good condition. However, there were some portions of the deck that were showing some signs of deterioration. And then also the rear, kind of patio deck back there was in great condition as well. But, we really want to seal that. You guys are going to notice a common theme throughout this report as well. And that's probably about 95% of what we do is water. We're trying to keep water off of everything and away from everything and draining away from everything, because water is what is going to cause deterioration and, rot and just, make things go downhill faster than anything else. So definitely would recommend either sealing or painting this deck out here, and that will extend its life. Okay, so several of the entry doors, and I've tried to label those for you: the front entry, the right rear bedroom entry, the garage pedestrian entry doors. Those were all dragging their jambs when opening and closing. And then also the rear sunroom entry door was found missing striker hardware, and the rear sunroom entry and the garage pedestrian door deadbolts were difficult to latch. So those all needed some adjustments to function as designed. Here's a blue dot. And okay, so this one's basically stating that the wood trim around all of the windows and doors had an aluminum cladding that helps make the windows and doors trim maintenance free. However, it makes it impossible to see the condition of the wood behind it. This is definitely an upgrade. It was really nice to see this for you guys, that that somebody spent the money to actually wrap all of these things in this aluminum, because honestly, door trim and window trim are some of the highest areas that we see that are deteriorated, that soak up moisture and that, have a lot of rot and stuff like that. So it was really nice to see all of that flashed and had that cladding. So that's basically not something that you guys are going to have to worry about. Okay, portions of the exterior wood components around the home were found with just either, like slight peeling paint or slight moisture damage when inspected. For this house, it had wooden soffit, wooden fascia, wooden trim everywhere, and they did a really good job and have done a really good job at protecting and keeping all of that stuff sealed. I can normally tell these things within just a couple of minutes of being at a house. So for it to have all of this wood trim and this really be the only areas that we're talking about, I would definitely say that's a good thing. Okay, so there was a downspout extension that was found terminating. This was over a walkway surface, and this was at the front of the garage. And these are on just about every house that you see. So in those times when there's freezing conditions, the water is going to be expelling off of the roof in this area right here. So we just want to let you guys know to use caution. A lot of people will keep salt or something like that around, in those particular times. But maybe help somebody, that needs help or something like that. And then also there were a couple of downspouts or extensions that were missing at the rear of the home. All right, there were some trees that were overhanging the structure, and this was basically kind of all around the house. Those trees are nice and provide a lot of shade, but we want to make sure that they're not hanging over the house because they will lead to clogged gutters. And then, of course, in storms, some of the branches can blow off or something like that. And then also there's some pictures in here where the actual gutters were in need of some cleaning as well. Okay, portions of the shingles were found with minor damage and or with some moss or algae growth that was attached to those. So we definitely want to get that algae off of there. And, that way it's just not leading to rapid deterioration of those shingles. There was a little bit of damage that was found in the chimney chase. There was a hole that was found. So we definitely want to seal that up again because that's going to allow moisture in, and then that water's going to get in there and then tear other stuff up as well. There were some insulation bats that were found installed in reverse. This is with the paper side facing the open attic area, and that was right there at the attic entry. In this condition, the paper backing was considered a fire hazard, so we either needed to reverse that insulation and turn it around the other way. We just can't have that, facing an open area there. It looks like that, somebody has come in here and removed the sheetrock that was here. So we either need to cover this back up with sheetrock or plywood, or maybe even just some poly, like a roll of some plastic or something like that. But we can't just have that facing the open area there. And then this next picture, this is where it actually says that, hey, this is a warning. This is a fire hazard. And what that is that these things have a moisture barrier built in, like a wax. And that wax that they put on the back side, the paper side of the insulation bats, is flammable. Okay, the primary bathroom exhaust vent was found terminating in the attic space. So that needs to be extended to, even if it just goes, right to where one of the soffit vents are. But we can't just have it just expelling right into the open attic area because that's going to lead to high moisture in there. All right, this blue dot states that portions of the attic couldn't be fully inspected just due to the lack of catwalks. And catwalks are really just a fancy name for boards to walk on. This was a huge attic in there and had lots of storage, once you kind of get past that initial entry point. But you can see, with all this blown in insulation, it makes it impossible to see, where to walk. We would be through a ceiling probably once a week or so. And then there were a couple of other little areas there as well. All right, there were some exposed wire ends that were found in the attic space and in the crawl space area at the time of the inspection. Whether live or not, these wire ends need to be closed within a junction box, and that junction box needs to be properly secured off the ground or removed to avoid a potential safety hazard. So as soon as you walk in the crawl space, there is, and it looks like that this is some old wiring here. However, again, we've got to get this stuff off the floor because it just leads to hazards. This was over on the left side of the home. This is not an exterior rated wire right here. And as you can see, they've just got a junction box plug, coming out of this crawl space opening here and just kind of stuck up there. So we definitely want to get that, if you guys want to continue to have that, that's fine, which I'm really not sure why you would. I'm not sure what they had plugged up because just a couple of feet from this, they had several other receptacles there, that you could get power from. So, if it were me, I would just probably remove this all together and, get that back in the crawl space and then secured up underneath, the floor joist properly off the floor. There were some slight moisture stains that were found on the wood components, and this was in the front attic space. And, this looks like that, it took on a little bit of moisture at one point in time. And then this right here is where I have my moisture meter up against it, and it's completely dry. It's registering like a 2.7. So, that's definitely from a previous leak. Nothing really needs to be done, but we at least want to give you a heads up about it. The crawl space vents, mainly along that left side of the house, were found below grade. So the installation of and or cleaning out crawl space vent wells was recommended to prevent moisture intrusion into that crawl space. And then a couple of those crawl space vents were found loose as well. But so this is it right here. You can see this, and you can see all of this dirt and everything that's right on top of it. And then we don't want any water running to where it can run and then go inside of these crawl space vents. Here's another one here that you can just see is really loose from the structure. That will allow mice and different things like that to get down in there to find, a safe place, from the weather. And then, of course, if mice are going to get in there, then there's going to be snakes and, so on and so forth. We just don't want to go down that road. Okay, so there were some minor cracks that were found in the garage block foundation at the time of inspection. These cracks are commonly seen. We see them all the time. And nothing really needs to be done. You just want to kind of monitor that for future movement. And again, this was in the garage, so definitely not a big deal. This is separate from the house. And honestly, the fact that we're talking about something so minimal, is more of a testament to, the home itself, that there hasn't been a lot of settlement or movement whatsoever. I didn't see one crack that was worth mentioning at all in all of the brickwork around the house. This was the only thing that I could find in the block foundation wall. So again, with brick and block, if there's settlement and movement, then, it's not going to bend or warp or anything like that. The only thing it can do is crack. So again, the fact that this is all we're talking about is definitely a good thing, and I would feel really good about it. Okay, moisture barrier was found missing on portions of the crawl space floor, and 100% of that crawl space floor needs to be covered with a vapor barrier. Okay, so it looked like that there was some old evidence of wood-destroying organisms that were found in the garage and then also at the crawl space entrance right there. I didn't really see anything anywhere else, but you could see that they've kind of painted over it. These are, tubes or tunnels, whatever you want to call them, from termites right there. Here's a close-up picture. And then here it looks like that there was a board this was the crawl space entrance right here that was attached to, this wall right here. And you can just see the activity to where they got back in there. It looks like somebody's removed that board, but there was still a little bit of the activity. And I didn't really see any treatment areas around the house either, so. Okay, portions of the block foundation walls and rim joists in the crawl space could not be fully inspected. And that's just due to them being covered with this full insulation. So, the entire block foundation wall was all covered with this full insulation, which definitely helps, keep the moisture out of there and all of that sort of stuff. And again, is an extra. It's not something that you see, on every home. There's different things that they try to insulate the foundation walls and stuff like that with. But this is just a heads up saying that, we can't go in here and remove all of this stuff and then do the inspection and then put it all back. So again, we've got to just, put that in the report that, hey, our view was limited on those. This one's kind of the same way. It's basically just saying that there were portions of that crawl space that we couldn't 100% get to, and that's because of the positioning of some of the HVAC ductwork. All right, there was a double tapped, what we call a double tapped or a double wire that was run to a 50 amp breaker. This was at the main electrical panel. So first of all, you have a main electrical panel that's on the left exterior of the home. And then there's just a few of the breakers in there, and they're bigger breakers. And those will cut off, the sub panel that's in the house, the HVAC equipment, stuff like that. And then you also have a sub panel that has all of the house circuits on it. And that particular panel is in the laundry room behind the door in there. So this is the double tapped breaker, what we call a double tapped breaker. And it's a 50 amp breaker. And these are the 50 amp wires that go to it, the big ones. But then somebody's come in here and stuck another little wire underneath this same lug, and you're not supposed to do that. chances are they just didn't want to add another breaker somewhere. So it would be an easy fix, but, things like this can lead to arcing, and, these lugs are made for one wire, not two. Also, not all of the circuits, a couple of the circuits over on the right side of that panel weren't labeled, so it'd be nice to know what those are in case of emergency. I mean, these things need to be labeled, and you need to know where these things are, because if there ever is an emergency, you need to be able to run out there and cut it off, quick, fast, and in a hurry, versus going, hey, is this it? Is that it? Is this, did it go off? And so on. So. All right, so several of the exterior electrical outlets would not trip when tested with the GFCI circuit tester. Also, several of those electrical outlets, exterior outlets, were found missing their moisture or their exterior covers. So those needed to be replaced. Also, the ground fault circuit interrupter, the GFCI outlet in the hallway bathroom, did not trip when tested. So, either that, and it's really easy to go in here and fix this, to just replace this outlet with a GFCI outlet that, they cost maybe about $15, but that will add protection to that. And, the GFCIs are really important in those wet locations, because it basically, cuts the loop of the circuit if it sees any kind of, rise or spike in the voltage in there. So like, back in the day, whenever we used to see like, somebody in a horror movie or something, and they drop the actual blow dryer into, or the radio into the bathtub or something, and it just shocked them to death. Well, that's what those GFCIs are for, because it basically interrupts that circuit and doesn't allow it to just continue to go. So those things are really important and really easy to fix. So. All right, the upstairs and the rear sunroom HVAC systems failed to adequately produce cold air at the time of the inspection. So I fooled around with this upstairs one for quite a while. These things are always kind of, you try to find, they all have different settings and different this and different that. But that room was definitely hot up there, and nothing I could do seemed to work, and I couldn't ever get it to produce any cold air. And then the same way with the sunroom HVAC system out there as well. Okay, so the main HVAC unit that you guys have for the downstairs, and that one was working great, but that is a gas furnace, and a gas furnace is really good, and gas furnaces cost more than a heat pump does initially, and it will really save you guys on your bill. I have a heat pump, a package unit heat pump for my house, and my winter bill is probably 3 times as much as my summer bill, because it takes so much energy to run that heater and to heat those heating elements up. So it's really good to see the gas furnace for you guys, because gas is much cheaper, it's much more efficient, and it'll really kind of keep those heating bills down, or electric bills down, when you're heating the home. But the other two, so these two right here, these were both electric heat pumps, and we can't test heat pumps whenever the temperature is over 70 degrees, because you can damage some of those internal components. So that's just stating that. And then also the package unit for the home was over 5 years old. So it would be a good idea to, see if the sellers had any records of regular maintenance or anything like that. And if they don't, then it may be a good time to have an HVAC checkup on it, because there's only so much we can do as an inspector. We don't have the fancy Freon gauges and different things like that. All we're doing is really just kind of going in and checking the temperature spreads from the ambient air temperatures and different things like that. So, all right, the gas water heater flue vent was found missing a collar, and more than likely, it looks like that they had gone through and painted this whole house, so more than likely somebody took it off when they painted and didn't put it back up there. The bathroom, the hallway bathroom shower valve handle, whenever I went to turn it on, it just came off, so it looks like it's missing that set screw that keeps it on there. The left side primary bathroom sink faucet base was just loose. There's what I call like a little barrel nut underneath the sink, because the water lines run through it. Just needs to be tightened up, because that side was kind of wobbling around a little bit. Okay, so I go in and I also do like what we call a flood test, which is basically where I fill everything up as much as I possibly can, and then I drain it as fast as possible. And that's going to put the maximum amount of pressure on the plumbing and will show leaks whenever, maybe just sitting there running the faucet and letting it go straight down the drain without plugging the drain won't necessarily show. So when doing that, there was a small leak that was in the garbage disposal or the plumbing, area right there. It was kind of hard to tell under that kitchen sink right there. Okay, there was a drawer underneath the oven that needed some adjustment because it wouldn't close properly. The ice and water dispensers on the front of the refrigerator was not functioning. I didn't see any ice in the actual maker there, so there's a good chance that maybe the water valve behind the refrigerator is off, but we're not allowed for liability reasons to pull those things out and check those. All right, several of the windows throughout the home were found, slightly dirty and potentially could be hiding evidence of fogging. And then also a couple of just one of the wood frame windows, and this is the one that kind of looks out to the patio. All of the other windows were nice double hung vinyl windows, and except some of these fixed windows, kind of like this one right here. But anyways, that one was basically painted shut. So somebody needs to go in here with a razor blade and kind of cut around that thing and get that thing back functioning. Okay, the laundry room door was dragging the jamb, and also the primary bathroom door hardware was found damaged. There was a slight moisture stain that was found on the ceiling. This was right at the front entry area, and that area tested dry at the time of the inspection. It looked like it was just from a previous leak, but again, we wanted to put it in there and show you how thorough we are. I don't think anything really needs to be done about it, but we did want to let you know that we noticed it. And then also the gas powered fireplace was found, the pilot for it was found in the off position. And we're not allowed to go in and turn on any valves or any breakers or any pilot lights or anything like that because, a lot of times there could be a leak somewhere and, nobody tells the home inspector what's going on. If anything, if there's a seller, they're possibly trying to hide something from us. So the minute that we go and turn a water valve on to test something and there's a leak on the other side of the house and then, it does a bunch of floor damage. So those are the type of reasons why that liability restricts us from doing that. But one thing, it would be good to have them, turn this on and maybe show you guys a video or a picture of it running. But one thing that the fireplace did need is anytime you have a gas fireplace like this, there's supposed to be a damper lock. And basically it keeps this flue damper open. That way it doesn't close, because if it's closed, then, that gas, a byproduct of burning gas, of course, is carbon monoxide and dioxide. And, that could definitely potentially be harmful and make people sick and stuff like that. So these are supposed to have like a little lock on it that keeps it from being able to close all the way. All right, I think that is it for the report. I know we only get to talk about the bad things, but there was so much to like about this house. It was really cool designed. I thought that the bones and all of the structural stuff looked really good to it. These are really just kind of some minor things that really we kind of see on just about every one of them. So I think it'll make somebody a great house. Anyways, if you have any questions on anything that we went over, or maybe anything or something that we didn't go over, feel free to call me here anytime, guys. I will make myself available for you. Thank y'all. Bye.